You weren't invited. This brunch was for real family only, not disappointments like you. My mom smirked. After Brittany stole $4,200 off my card. You should be grateful we even let you fund our lifestyle. She added, know your place and stop acting entitled to our time. I snapped, then pay your own bills, while canceling $47,000 in support and shutting everything down. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. This is long, but trust me, it's worth the read. TLDR. Entitled sister used my debit card to throw herself a $4,200 Mother's Day party, told me I wasn't family enough to attend, so I systematically destroyed her fake lifestyle by cutting off the money tap I'd been providing for years. She went from Instagram princess to begging on my doorstep in 3 weeks. Hey Reddit, I'm not usually one to air family drama online, but I need to get this off my chest, and honestly, some of you might enjoy the justice served at the end. Also, a few friends told me this belongs on r/pro revenge, so here we are. Quick background. I 34. Male, single, no kids. I work in sales for a construction equipment company. Nothing glamorous, but it pays well. Around $78,000 base, plus commission. I've always been the responsible one in my family, while my younger sister Brittany, 29 female, has been the golden child princess who could do no wrong. This story is about how I finally snapped and gave her exactly what she deserved. To understand how bad this got, I need to give you some background on my sister Brittany. Picture the most stereotypical entitled Instagram girl you can imagine, then multiply it by 10. We're talking fake eyelashes, designer everything, and a complete inability to understand that money doesn't just appear out of thin air. Growing up, Brittany was always mom's favorite. While I was doing chores and working part-time jobs through high school, Brittany was getting her nails done and complaining that her allowance wasn't enough for the designer jeans she wanted. When I graduated and started working, Brittany went to college for marketing, which basically meant 4 years of partying and taking selfies. After college, I got my job and worked my ass off to build a decent life. Brittany? She started her journey through what I like to call fake jobs for pretty girls. First, she was a brand ambassador for some energy drink company, posting photos in bikinis holding their product. Then she became a social media consultant, managing Instagram accounts for local businesses and posting quotes about hustle culture. After that, she tried being a lifestyle blogger, posting photos of overpriced coffee and calling it content. Currently, she calls herself a wellness influencer and sells detox teas, face masks, and workout plans to women who think buying her $89 transformation package will magically give them her body. Her Instagram has about 12,000 followers, most of whom are probably bots, but she acts like she's the next Kim Kardashian. Here's the thing that really gets me. She makes maybe $400 to $600 a month from all this influencer bullshit, but she lives like she's pulling in 6 figures. Designer purses, professional hair and makeup twice a week, eating at expensive restaurants, and posting it all with captions like, grateful for this abundant life and manifesting prosperity. How does she afford it? That's where I come in. 4 years ago, Dad died in a car accident. Mom was devastated and said she couldn't handle all the bills and paperwork. Could I help out temporarily until she got back on her feet? Of course I said yes. What kind of son would I be if I didn't help my grieving mother? That temporary help turned into me paying her mortgage difference. Dad's life insurance covered about half, utilities, car insurance, and pretty much every other bill she had. I set up automatic payments for everything because Mom said dealing with due dates and managing money was too stressful after losing Dad. Right after Dad's funeral, Brittany suggested we open a joint checking account for family emergencies and group expenses. I put in $2,000 to start it off. She put in $50 and never contributed again. At the time, it seemed like a good way to handle shared family costs. But that was just the beginning. Brittany started having emergencies about once a month. Car broke down and needed $1,400 in repairs. Had to pay for a business development course that cost $750. Emergency dental work for $980. Rent money because her biggest client didn't pay her invoice and she was short $1,150. Every single time, the sob story was the same. I'm so close to making it big, David. This business is about to take off. I just need help getting through this rough patch. I'll pay you back as soon as my next big collaboration comes through. The collaborations never came through. The business never took off. But the emergencies kept coming. Here's what really pissed me off, though. While I'm working 50-plus-hour weeks and living modestly so I can cover her constant crises, she's posting Instagram stories from expensive spa days, showing off new designer shoes, and going on weekend trips to wine country with her equally useless influencer friends. When I started questioning some of her expenses, Mom would guilt-trip me. David, she's still young and trying to figure out her path. You were lucky to find stable work right away. Not everyone is cut out for a traditional job. We need to support her dreams. Support her dreams. Right, by funding her shopping addiction while she played dress-up entrepreneur. But I kept paying because they're family, you know? And I kept thinking eventually, Brittany would grow up and figure her shit out. Spoiler alert, she never did. So we get to this year's Mother's Day situation. About 3 weeks before, our family group chat was planning something special for Mom. I suggested we pool money together for a nice dinner, or maybe a weekend getaway. Nothing crazy, just something thoughtful. That's when Brittany took over the conversation with her typical dramatic flair. OMG, you guys, I have the perfect idea. We should do like a luxury brunch thing with catering and decorations, and make it super Instagram-worthy. Mom deserves the absolute best. I replied that catering seemed expensive, and asked what the budget would be. Brittany, David, it's Mother's Day. This isn't about money, it's about showing Mom how much we love her. Me, I'm not against spending money on Mom. I just want to know what we're talking about cost-wise, so we can split it fairly. Brittany, ugh, why do you always have to make everything about money? Some of us actually want to do something special instead of being cheap. That stung. I'd been quietly funding half their lives for years, and she's calling me cheap for wanting to know what a party would cost. The conversation got heated. I pointed out that I'd been helping financially with a lot of family stuff, and just wanted to make sure we planned something reasonable. Brittany shot back that just because I have a regular job doesn't mean I should control how everyone else shows love. Then came the kicker. Mom jumped in. David, sweetheart, you know money isn't everything. Brittany has such creative ideas and she wants to make this special. Can't you just be supportive? I felt like I'd been slapped. Here I am, literally paying their bills, and I'm being lectured about being supportive because I asked about a budget. I said, fine, plan whatever you want, but I wanted to know the total cost up front so I could budget for my share. Brittany, actually, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'll handle everything. Some of us actually prioritize family over counting pennies. Then, and this is where it gets really freaked up, Mom created a new group chat without me. I found out because my cousin mentioned something about the party planning group, and when I asked what she meant, she got all awkward and changed the subject. I confronted Mom about it, and she got defensive. Oh, honey, that's just Brittany's planning chat with the girls. You don't need to worry about all the little details. Translation: they decided I was too cheap and controlling to be involved in planning, but they still expected me to pay for whatever they came up with. I was hurt, but I didn't push it. I figured I'd just show up on Mother's Day with flowers and see what they'd planned. 2 weeks later, I asked Mom what time I should come over on Sunday and what I could bring. She got that weird tone again. Oh, well, it's really just going to be a small thing. Mostly the girls. Very casual. Red flags everywhere, but I let it slide. Mother's Day. Sunday morning, I'm sleeping in and planning to swing by Mom's around noon with flowers and maybe take her to lunch afterward. I figured whatever small thing they'd planned would be over by then, and we could have some one-on-one time. At 10:47 a.m., my phone buzzes with a fraud alert from my credit union. $4,240 charge to Elegant Affairs Catering and Events. My heart freaking stopped. I immediately called the credit union. The charge was legit. Someone had used Brittany's debit card for our joint account at 8:30 that morning. I pulled up Elegant Affairs' website. They do high-end catering, event planning, the works. Their signature brunch package for 15 people was exactly $4,240 and included gourmet brunch spread with smoked salmon, artisan pastries, fresh fruit displays, full bar service with signature cocktails, professional table settings with linens and centerpieces, live acoustic musician for ambiance, dedicated event coordinator and waitstaff. This wasn't some casual family get-together. This was a freaking wedding-level production. And apparently, I wasn't invited. I sat there staring at my phone screen, feeling sick to my stomach. Not just because of the money, though $4,200 is a lot, but because of what it meant. They'd planned this elaborate, expensive party, used my money to pay for it, and deliberately excluded me. I thought about calling first, but honestly, I was too angry to think straight. I got dressed, got in my truck, and drove the 45 minutes to Mom's house. I needed to see this shit with my own eyes. When I turned onto Mom's street, I couldn't believe what I saw. Cars everywhere. And not just any cars. Uncle Jim's Escalade, Cousin Sarah's BMW, Brittany's white Jeep Wrangler, the one I'd co-signed for because her credit was garbage, plus at least 6 other vehicles I didn't recognize. I had to park 3 blocks away. As I walked toward the house, I could hear music and laughter. Not just family chatting. This sounded like a real party. When I got to the front yard, I could see through the windows. The whole living room had been transformed. Professional-looking white linens on multiple tables, elaborate flower centerpieces, balloon arrangements, people dressed up like they were at a country club, and in the corner, some guy with an acoustic guitar providing live background music. I stood there for a minute just taking it in. This was what $4,200 of my money had bought, and I wasn't invited. Freak it. I walked up to the front door and went inside without knocking. The scene was even more ridiculous from the inside. The dining room table and 2 additional folding tables had been set up with fancy place settings. Real china, cloth napkins, crystal glasses. There was a goddamn ice sculpture in the shape of a heart with "World's Best Mom" carved into it. About 15 people were seated around the tables, and I recognized most of them. Family members who rarely show up for anything were all dressed to the nines, eating gourmet food and looking like they were having the time of their lives. Then everyone noticed me, and the whole place went quiet. Like movie scene quiet where the record stops and everybody stares. Brittany saw me first. She was wearing this tight pink dress that probably cost more than my monthly car payment, her hair professionally done in some elaborate updo, makeup that looked like she'd just stepped off a photo shoot. She had this moment of panic that flashed across her face before it morphed into her signature smug smirk. "Well, well, well," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, setting down her fancy coffee cup with deliberate drama. "Look what the cat dragged in." She stood up and smoothed down her dress, making sure everyone could see how perfectly put together she looked compared to me in my jeans and polo shirt. "Didn't think you'd actually show up, David. Especially since you made it pretty clear you didn't want to be involved in planning anything expensive for Mom." The way she said expensive with air quotes made my blood boil. Mom turned around from where she'd been chatting with my aunt, and I swear she looked annoyed that I was there. At her Mother's Day party. That I'd paid for. "David," she said, with that fake sweet tone she uses when she's irritated, but trying to hide it in front of company. "You should have called first, honey. We weren't really expecting you." I looked around the room. Every seat at every table was taken. There wasn't a single place setting for me. No empty chair. Nothing. "I can see that," I said. Brittany tilted her head with mock sympathy. "Oh, did you want to join us? That's so sweet. But unfortunately," she gestured around the crowded room, "as you can see, we're kind of at capacity. I planned this for the people who actually wanted to make Mom feel special. The people who actually wanted to make Mom feel special." The implication being that I didn't. Cousin Sarah jumped in, probably trying to diffuse the tension. "Oh, I'm sure we can squeeze in another chair somewhere." "Actually," Brittany interrupted, "that would be pretty awkward since the whole thing is already paid for and planned out. I mean, you can't just add people last minute to a catered event. It throws off the whole dynamic." She was enjoying this. She was actually freaking enjoying publicly humiliating me in front of the entire family. Mom stepped closer and lowered her voice like she was trying to be diplomatic. "David, maybe you could come back later? After we're done here? We could visit then? Come back later. To my own mother's house." After the party I'd paid for was over, that's when I realized exactly what was happening here. This wasn't just about excluding me from party planning. This was about putting me in my place. Showing everyone that despite the fact that I'd been quietly funding their lives for years, Brittany was the one who really mattered. She was the favorite, the creative one, the one who actually cared. And I was just the wallet. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Held it up so Brittany could see the screen. "Interesting," I said, my voice carrying across the now silent room. "Because according to my bank, I'm actually the one who paid for this whole thing." Brittany's confident smirk faltered for just a second. "What are you talking about?" $4,240 charge to Elegant Affairs Catering. This morning, from our joint account, using your debit card." The room was dead silent now. Even the guitar player had stopped strumming. Brittany's face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds before landing on defensive anger. "Oh my God, David. That was obviously an accident." I thought it was my personal account. The cards look exactly the same. Do they? I pulled out my own debit card and held it next to my phone screen, showing her transaction. Because this card says Community First Credit Union and has my name on it. And according to this transaction record, someone who knew the PIN used it at 8:30 this morning. Uncle Jim cleared his throat uncomfortably. Cousin Sarah was staring down at her plate. The guitar guy was pretending to tune his instrument. Look, Brittany said, her voice getting higher. It was an honest mistake, okay? I'll transfer the money back when I get home. God, you're making such a big deal out of nothing. Nothing, I said. $4,000 is nothing? I mean, she gestured around the room. Look how beautiful this is. Look how happy Mom is. Isn't that worth something? And it's not like you can't afford it. You make good money and you live alone. What do you even spend money on? There it was, her true feelings coming out in front of everyone. Mom looked mortified. Brittany, that's not appropriate. But Brittany was on a roll now, her voice getting louder and more defensive. No, Mom, I'm tired of walking on eggshells around Mr. Pennypincher over here. He acts like every dollar is some huge sacrifice when he literally has no expenses. No wife, no kids, no life. At least when I spend money, it's for meaningful things like this. She gestured dramatically at the elaborate party setup. I work my ass off building my brand and my business, and he sits there in his little office job thinking he's so much better than everyone else because he has a steady paycheck. Well, guess what, David? Some of us are trying to build something bigger than just existing. The whole room was staring at her now. I could see people exchanging glances, realizing that the sweet, creative daughter they thought they knew was actually a spoiled brat having a public meltdown. I looked around at all these family members who'd been enjoying this fancy party, eating expensive food, listening to live music, all paid for with money that was stolen from me by someone who'd just called me a penny-pinching loser with no life. You know what, Brittany? I said calmly. You're absolutely right. She looked confused, like she'd been expecting me to yell back. I do make good money. I do live alone. And I do have very few expenses. I paused and looked directly at her, which is exactly why I've been able to afford paying for your life for the past 4 years. The confusion on her face deepened. But you've just made an excellent point about meaningful expenses, so let me go home and think about what's really meaningful to me. I looked at Mom, who was standing there looking like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Thanks for clarifying where I stand in this family. Really, it's been educational. I turned and walked toward the door, then stopped and looked back. Oh, and enjoy the guitar player. At $200 an hour, he better be worth it. Then I left. I sat in my truck for about 10 minutes, just breathing and trying to process what had just happened. My phone started buzzing with calls and texts, but I ignored them. The drive home gave me time to think, really think, about the past 4 years, about every emergency I'd covered, every bill I'd paid, every time I'd been made to feel guilty for asking questions about money, about how they'd excluded me from planning a party with my own money, then humiliated me in front of the entire family when I showed up, about Brittany calling me a penny-pinching loser with no life, about Mom asking me to come back later like I was some unwelcome visitor instead of her son, who'd been keeping her financially afloat for years. By the time I got home, I wasn't angry anymore. I was something else. Determined, clear-headed, done. I sat down at my computer and started making a list. Mom's expenses I was covering, mortgage payment difference, $1,150 per month. Electric bill, $180 per month. Water sewer, $95 per month. Natural gas, $85 per month. Internet, $89 per month. Car insurance, $165 per month. Cell phone, $75 per month. Netflix, Hulu, streaming, $45 a month. Gym membership, $45 per month. Total monthly, $1,929. Brittany's expenses I was covering. Car payment, $380 per month. I was cosigner. Car insurance, $245 per month. High due to accidents. Health insurance, $290 a month. I'd added her to my work plan when she aged out of Mom's. Cell phone, $85 per month. Various emergencies, average $630 per month over 4 years. Total monthly, $1,630. Grand total monthly, $3,559. Grand total over 4 years, $170,832. $170,000. I'd spent nearly 200 grand keeping these people afloat while being treated like a piggy bank they could break whenever they needed cash. I logged into every account, every auto pay, every subscription. One by one, I canceled everything. Mom's mortgage payment, canceled. The bank would send her a notice that she was now responsible for the full payment starting next month. All utilities. I called each company and requested service disconnection with 30 days notice as required by their policies. Car insurance. I called and canceled both policies with the required 10-day notice period. Phone plan. Both her and Brittany's phones would be disconnected at the end of the current billing cycle in 2 weeks. Streaming services, canceled. Gym membership, canceled with 30-day notice. Then I called Brittany's car loan company. As the cosigner, I explained that I would no longer be making payments. They informed me that after 2 missed payments, they'd begin repossession proceedings, which would affect both our credit scores. I told them I understood and to proceed. Next, I called my credit card company to report the $4,240 charge as unauthorized use. I explained that while my sister had access to the joint account, she'd used it for a large expense without my knowledge or permission, which violated our agreement for the account's use. Finally, I called Mom from my landline. She answered on the first ring. "David! Oh, honey, I'm so glad you called. That whole thing got out of hand. Brittany feels terrible about what she said." "Mom," I interrupted, "I need to tell you something important. As of today, I'm no longer paying for any of your bills or expenses." Silence. "I've canceled all the automatic payments with proper notice periods. You'll need to contact the utility companies and set up new accounts. Your car insurance ends in 10 days, so you'll need to get new coverage immediately. And the bank will be sending you information about taking over the full mortgage payment starting next month." "David, wait, I don't understand. Are you serious?" "Dead serious. For 4 years, I've been subsidizing your lives while being treated like an ATM machine. Today made it clear that my financial support isn't valued, so I'm stopping it." "But honey, Brittany didn't mean what she said. She was just upset and embarrassed." "Mom, she used my debit card to pay for a party I wasn't invited to, then called me a penny-pinching loser with no life when I confronted her about it, in front of the entire family. And you asked me to leave." "I didn't ask you to leave. I just thought maybe it would be better to talk later when everyone wasn't watching? When you could handle it privately, instead of acknowledging in front of everyone that I've been paying for your lifestyle?" More silence. "David, please, can we just talk about this? Come over tomorrow and we'll figure it out. Brittany will apologize, I promise." "No, Mom, I'm done. You want to treat me like I'm not really family? Fine. Let's see how long your family bond lasts when it's not subsidized by my paycheck." I hung up. My phone immediately started ringing. I turned it off. The next few days were the most peaceful I'd had in years. No calls asking for money. No guilt trips about family emergencies. No stress about whether I could afford my own bills because I was covering everyone else's. I did check Brittany's Instagram, though. Monday night, she posted a story about fake people and family betrayal with some quote about how success threatens small minds. Tuesday, she posted a motivational quote about overcoming obstacles placed by jealous people. Wednesday, her post stopped. Thursday, I got a call at work from Uncle Jim. "David, what the hell is going on? Your mom called asking to borrow money for groceries." I explained the whole situation. The years of financial support, the excluded party planning, the unauthorized charge, Brittany's public humiliation of me. "Jesus Christ," he said when I finished. "I had no idea you were paying for all that stuff. I thought your dad's insurance was covering most of it." "Nope, just me. For 4 years. And Brittany's been taking money from you this whole time?" "About $630 a month average in various emergencies." Long pause. "Dave, I owe you an apology. We all thought, hell, I don't know what we thought, that you were just doing well and helping out occasionally. Nobody realized you were basically supporting 2 grown adults. Because I never complained about it. I thought that's what family does. Family helps each other, yeah. But what they were doing? That's not family, that's exploitation." 3 weeks later, I was leaving work when I saw a white Jeep Wrangler on a tow truck heading the opposite direction. I couldn't be 100% sure, but it looked exactly like Brittany's. Saturday morning, I went to grab coffee at my usual place and ran into cousin Sarah. "Oh my God, David," she said, looking uncomfortable. "I was hoping I'd see you. I wanted to apologize for that Sunday. That whole thing was, wow, really inappropriate. Thanks for saying that. I had no idea about any of the financial stuff. Brittany made it sound like you were just being difficult about party planning. If I'd known you were actually paying for everything..." "It's fine, Sarah. Most people didn't know. Is it true that you've been covering your mom's mortgage for 4 years?" "Among other things, yeah. She shook her head. That's insane. And then to exclude you from the party and use your money anyway? I can't believe Brittany thought that was okay. How is she doing? I asked, genuinely curious. Sarah got quiet. Not great, honestly. Her car got repossessed 2 days ago. Her phone's been shut off since last week. She's been staying at your mom's house, but apparently the utilities are getting shut off soon, so now they're both at Aunt Linda's. Interesting. Right on schedule. She's been applying for jobs all week. Real jobs, I mean. Not the influencer stuff, but it's been a reality check for her. I almost felt bad. Almost. 4 weeks after Mother's Day, I was making dinner when someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole and couldn't believe what I saw. Brittany and Mom were standing on my doorstep, but they looked like completely different people. Brittany's hair was greasy and pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup. She was wearing jeans and a wrinkled t-shirt that looked like she'd been sleeping in them. This from a girl who usually wouldn't walk to the mailbox without full makeup and a coordinated outfit. Mom looked exhausted and stressed, wearing clothes I recognized from years ago. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. David, Brittany said immediately, and her voice was shaky. We really need to talk. Do we? Please, Mom added. Can we just come in for a few minutes? I stepped aside and let them in, but I didn't offer them seats or drinks. Brittany started crying almost immediately. David, I freaked up. I freaked up so bad, and I'm so sorry. I just stood there looking at her. I know what I said was horrible. I know using your card was wrong. I know all of it was wrong. I was trying to impress everyone and make Mom happy, and I got carried away. Carried away, I repeated. I didn't think. I wasn't thinking about how much you do for us or how hard you work or any of it. I was just focused on throwing this perfect party, and I convinced myself that you could afford it and wouldn't mind, and she was sobbing now, barely able to get words out. I can't afford anything, David. I got evicted from my apartment. My car's gone. My phone's been shut off for 2 weeks. I've been applying for jobs, but nobody will hire me because I don't have any real work experience. And my Instagram follower count doesn't mean shit to employers. Mom spoke up. David, we had no idea how much you'd been helping with. I thought your father's life insurance was covering most of my expenses. When all the bills came due at once and I realized how much you'd been paying. She trailed off, looking ashamed. I got a job, Brittany said quickly. At Target. Overnight stocking. It's $13 an hour and I hate it, but I took it. And I'm going to pay you back. Every penny. The credit card thing. All the emergency money you gave me over the years. Everything. I looked at her for a long moment. This girl who 4 weeks ago had been calling me a penny-pinching loser with no life was now begging me for forgiveness while wearing clothes that looked like they hadn't been washed in days. How much do you think you owe me, Brittany? She looked confused. I don't know exactly. A few thousand? Try 30,000, I said. That's just your emergencies over 4 years. Doesn't include the car payments, insurance, phone bills, or health insurance. Her face went white. And Mom, your bills come to about 93,000 over the same period. Mom sat down heavily on my couch without being invited. So we're talking about $123,000 total, plus the $4,200 you took for the party. They both just stared at me. Even at $13 an hour, working full-time, after taxes you'll make maybe $1,800 a month, Brittany. If you literally gave me every penny you earned and lived on air, it would take you about 18 months just to pay back what you owe me personally. Brittany was crying harder now. I'll do it. However long it takes, I'll pay you back. Will you? Yes. I swear to God, David. I'll get a second job if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes. I walked over to my kitchen counter where I'd been keeping a folder for the past month. A folder full of bank statements, receipts, and documentation of every payment I'd made on their behalf. You know what, Brittany? I believe you would try. I think losing your car and your apartment and your fake influencer lifestyle has been a real wake-up call. I opened the folder and pulled out a printed spreadsheet. But here's the thing. This isn't just about money. This is about respect. For 4 years, I've been treated like a walking ATM instead of a family member. Every time I asked questions about expenses, I was made to feel guilty or cheap or controlling. I handed her the spreadsheet. You used my money to throw a party I wasn't invited to, then publicly humiliated me when I confronted you about it. You called me a penny-pinching loser with no life? In front of our entire family. Mom started to say something, but I cut her off. And you, Mom, asked me to leave. Your son, who had just paid for the party you were enjoying. You were more concerned about avoiding awkwardness than defending the person who's been keeping you financially afloat for years. The room was dead silent, except for Brittany's sniffling. So here's what's going to happen. I'm not interested in being paid back. Know why? They both looked at me. Because I don't want to spend the next 3 years having monthly conversations about payment plans and guilt trips about how hard it is for you to make ends meet. I don't want to be connected to your financial situation in any way. I walked to the door and opened it. I want you to figure out how to be adults without my help. I want you to learn what the rest of us learned years ago, that money doesn't grow on trees and actions have consequences. Brittany stood up, still crying. David, please, I know I don't deserve it, but we're family. Can't we just… Family? I interrupted. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't exclude each other from parties they paid for. Family doesn't call each other penny-pinching losers with no life. I looked directly at her. You spent 4 years treating me like a resource instead of a brother. 4 years taking my money while posting on Instagram about your abundant life and manifesting prosperity. 4 years of making me feel like I owed you something instead of the other way around. Mom stood up too. David, we understand you're hurt, but surely we can work through this. We're willing to do whatever it takes. Are you? I asked. Because 4 weeks ago, you weren't willing to include me in planning a party with my own money. You weren't willing to defend me when your daughter publicly humiliated me. You weren't willing to acknowledge in front of your family that I'd been supporting you financially for years. I gestured toward the door. The only reason you're here now is because the money stopped. If I was still paying your bills, do you think either of you would be on my doorstep apologizing? Neither of them answered because we all knew the truth. I spent 4 years being your personal ATM, 4 years watching my sister blow my money on a fake lifestyle while acting like she was doing me a favor by taking it, 4 years of being treated like a walking wallet instead of a family member. I looked at both of them one last time. So here's my final contribution to your education. Figure it out yourselves. Both of you. Like actual adults. They left without another word. I watched from my window as they got into some beat-up Honda I didn't recognize, probably borrowed from whoever they're staying with now. It's been 6 months since the Mother's Day incident, and I've never been happier or more at peace. I heard through Uncle Jim that Brittany is still working at Target and picked up a second job cleaning offices on weekends. She's living in a studio apartment with 2 roommates and takes the bus everywhere. Her Instagram account went dark about a month after our last conversation. Turns out it's hard to be a wellness influencer when you're working retail and can't afford the lifestyle you're trying to sell. Mom had to sell the house and move into a smaller rental. She got a part-time job at a local doctor's office doing administrative work. According to Uncle Jim, the reality of actually having to budget and pay bills has been educational for her. Update. People keep asking if I feel bad or if I'll ever reconcile with them. The answer is no, and here's why. I saw Brittany last week at the grocery store. She was in her Target uniform, looking tired, buying generic everything. When she saw me, she started to approach like she wanted to talk. I nodded politely and went about my shopping. She didn't try to say anything. No apology, no attempt at conversation. Just this look like she expected me to feel sorry for her. I don't. This is what accountability looks like. This is what happens when the free ride ends and you have to face reality. Actions have consequences. It just took 4 years for theirs to catch up with them.